Shalom Akim, Shalom Akwathiam. Call Halal Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakah Kradash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. In a continuation with delving into the 12 tribes of the household of Israel, what I want to touch on, and I hope through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, that it is edifying and to the point, is the tribe of Zebulon. All right. Now, what I have queued up for you is an ancient map of the land of Israel, because we can see in the ancient world, the tribe of Zebulon was encompassed and or surrounded by Manasseh, Issachar, Naphtali, and also Asher. Now, the prophecy in the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 13, it tells us where the tribe of Zebulon would be this day. All right. And I want to be clear about something. The Zebulon, and or in Hebrew, the word Zebulon, it means dwelling. And the tribe of Zebulon today are the people that reside primarily in the land of Guatemala down through Panama. Now, if you're looking at the map I have put up for you, you can see Guatemala there and Panama. All right. And remember, it states that Zebulon, and I'll just read the prophecy here, okay, because this is where this tribe will be primarily located. In the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, in the 13th verse, it reads, Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his borders shall be unto Zidon. All right. Now, what does it mean by Zebulon shall be as a haven of ships? All right. And we'll get into those facts momentarily, but something I want you to know about the people that dwell in this land. Of course, I want to go into the language and or the writings that were found, but also the clothing that they wear. Now, I'm going to start first with the language, and it tells us this, in the AI overview. You can delve more into these facts in your own time, but it tells us, while claims of ancient Hebrew writing in Guatemala have surfaced, they are not widely accepted by mainstream archaeologists and linguists. And the reason that is because it proves the scriptures right. Okay. All right. These are our people here. All right. And Esau, Edom, the Edomites, they'll do anything to suppress these facts. Remember in Psalms 83, they said, let me take up a crafty counsel against thee. Now, what I want to do is get into the attire and how Zebulon dress, and or the Guatemalan or Panamanian people, how they dress even until this day. The men and the women have fringes in their garments. All right. And how do we know? I'm going to just bounce around a little bit and grab a few photos here. But as we can see, this man, he has fringes in his garments. So let me grab a few other photos too to further substantiate the point here. We can see all these men here, and also the women, they have fringes in their garments, fringes in their scarves. And why is that? Because the Lord put the spirit on them to be that way even unto this very day. And I want to come out of this here. I think I had one more photo that I wanted to tie into this particular lesson. We can see this woman here. These are our people here. All right. And even in the kingdom of heaven, you have to consider this, and I'm going to say it over and over again. The kingdom of heaven, it has 4 sides, and it has 3 gates on each side. And one of those gates into the kingdom is going to be the tribe of Zebulon. All right. Now, remember the scriptures mentioned, or should I say the prophecy mentioned in Genesis, the 49th chapter, and the 13th verse, that Zebulon shall be as a haven of ships. And what does it mean by that? Well, I want to allow this short video to bring you up to speed on the Panama Canal. All right. Because the world, it does a vast amount of global trade by way of ships, and those ships have to go through the Panama Canal. Now, if you're not privy or aware of what the Panama Canal is responsible for, I'm going to allow this video here to bring you up to speed. And of course, YouTube, I'm utilizing this short under the Fair Use Act. Again, fair use. Let's get right into it.
The Panama Canal is much more epic than you think, and there's a reason the U.S. wants to take it back. Normally, if you ever wanted to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, you would have to go all the way around South America like this, which can literally take up to 2 months. But the U.S. wanted a shortcut by cutting through the thinnest part of land right through the other side. That would save them billions of dollars and months of time. This thinnest part happened to be in Panama, which was part of Colombia at the time, who wanted nothing to do with the U.S. So Colombia let the French build this shortcut in 1882 who failed miserably due to disease and other factors, and the project went bankrupt. America saw this and determined that Panama needed some good old freedom, so they intervened and helped Panama gain its independence in 1903. In return, Panama gave the U.S. this tiny strip of land that happened to be exactly where the canal was being built. In 1904, America buys the failed Panama Canal project from the French for $40 million and finishes it 10 years later in 1914. But it was kind of worth it. Not only did it cut months of travel time down to about 8 hours, generated billions of dollars in revenue, but also ended up being crucial for military operations in the Navy. So what happened? How did the U.S. lose control of such a critical asset? Well, first you need to realize the Panama Canal sure ain't no hole-in-the-ground tunnel that just connects the two oceans. The engineering that went into this is on par with one of the greatest achievements in all of humanity. So the sea level on the Pacific side is actually about 20 centimeters higher than on the Atlantic side for various complex scientific reasons. Not to mention the water level of lakes and rivers on land is much higher than the oceans too. In order to get ships across, the Panama Canal uses a series of locks and water chambers that slowly fill up and bring the passing ship up to the water level of the artificial lake on land. It passes through the man-made lake and does the same thing in reverse on the other side to bring it back down to the other ocean. Boom boom bop, easy does it, right? Well, not so much, because in 1977, the Torrijos-Carter treaties promised Panama would regain full control of the canal by the end of 1999, which it did. So Panama now owns full control of the canal, which generates billions and billions of dollars a year in revenue. And you know who loves billions and billions of dollars? This guy right here, who realized what a grave mistake it was to give it up and now kind of wants it back.
All right, let's come from here. Let me go back to that prophecy about the tribe of Zebulon, right? Pardon me. Yes, I had this photo queued up because I like to always make reference to where each tribe gets their name. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 30, verse 20. And then we'll go back to Genesis chapter 49, verse 13. In Genesis chapter 30, verse 20, it tells us this. And Leah said, the Most High has endowed me with a good endowment. And now my husband will dwell with me, because I have bore him 6 sons. So she called his name Zebulon, meaning what? Dwelling. Now let's come from here, and then let's go back to the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 13, because there's a word I want to go into in the blue letter. All right. And it reads this: Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships, and his borders shall be unto Zidon. Now, the word I wanted to grab out of this in the blue letter is, it states here, I wanted to go into at the haven. And what does that mean? Now, that means Zebulon is dwelling now, what? By the seashore, by the coast. All right. And we saw in that map of ancient Israel that Zebulon was surrounded by the other tribes: Manasseh, Issachar, Naphtali, and Asher. All right. Now, something else I wanted to point out is it state how they should be likened unto Zidon. And just a quick point that I wanted to call out as well is the ancient city of Zidon was known for their sea trade. It tells us this in the AI overview. Yes, ancient Zidon, also known as Sidon, was a prominent Phoenician city renowned for its significant role in sea trade. So that's where the tribe of Zebulon would be now. All right. It will be by an area that's known for its sea trade. All right. Fulfilling prophecy. Now, let me come back to here. Let me read this too as well. Again, it ties right in with the Panama Canal. And it tells us the Panama Canal is renowned for its pivotal role in global trade. You see how it all comes in and ties together? Okay. Continuing on, it tells us serving as a crucial waterway connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. It significantly reduces the travel time and distance for ships, facilitating the movement of goods between major economies and impacting global supply chains. You see that? Let me come from here, right? You come from here. Get one more precept, and it tells us this in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 18. And it tells us, in Zebulon, he said, rejoice, Zebulon, in thy going out, in Issachar in thy tents. And what does the scriptures mean by that? Because at one point in time, the so-called Mexicans, right, and the Guatemalans, they had a close relationship. All right. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. And they dwelt in harmony. They dwelt together. All right. And it tells us this: yes, historically, Mexico and Guatemala Issachar and Zebulon, if you will, have shared a close relationship rooted in close proximity, trade and culture and similarities, and a shared history. You know, that even goes back to the times of the Mayans in the Acts text. They used to sacrifice together. Okay? All right? So that's what the scriptures mean by, you know, let me go back to that precept and read it one more time. And of Zebulon, he said, rejoice, Zebulon, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. All right. These two tribes, they were close knit together at one point in time. All right. Let me see if I had anything else queued up for you. But, you know, I believe I made the point. You know, the modern day, you know, Guatemalans and the Panamanians, you know, they are the children of Israel. All right. These are our beloved brothers and sisters here, and I hope through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, that this lesson has been edifying. Shalom.